What's up, friends? Welcome to Task 5 results for the OoT Master Series. Hello. We've got an exciting one today. 3 of the top 4 are in the call with me. We'll introduce who that is in a few minutes. So the OT Master Series, for those of you who have no idea what it is and are here for the first time potentially, it is a series of 10 challenges that I created for OOT speedrunners to accomplish, one every 2 weeks for the first 20 weeks of 2023. We are in the middle of the 6th one right now. That's what they're competing on. But Task 5 finished last week. I spent this week reviewing the results, and we're going to debut the top 4 runners from Task 5 and play their runs back as if it were a live race and have them commentate over it. So Task 5 is called the Completionist. And the goal, you can see it right next to me, was to fully clear 1 child dungeon and 1 adult dungeon. So child dungeons are the ones that give you spiritual stones, Deku, DC, and Jabu. And 1 adult dungeon, it's one of the ones that gives you a medallion, forest, fire, water, spirit, or shadow. And what fully clear means for the purpose of this challenge was opening all of the chests, unlocking all of the key-locked doors, visiting every room, collecting all the gold sculptulas, and then, once you've done all that, and also collect the heart container and the stoner medallion. So you have to step into the blue warp and either do a cutscene skip or watch the cutscene. And after you do all of that for the dungeon, you have to come back to the dungeon and pause in the dungeon and show that your map screen is complete, that all the rooms are blue on the map, that you have the map compass and boss key if it's an adult dungeon, and that there's no chest icons on the map anymore, and also that you've gotten all the gold sculptulas and that icon is there. And that last thing, where you have to show your map screen, served 2 big purposes. The first one was that it made it really easy for me to review the runs and make sure that everything was done properly without having to painstakingly watch every single sub-goal. But the second thing is that it forces players to come up with how they want to get back to the dungeon after they've stepped into the blue warp and potentially cutscene skipped or wrong warped away. So there was a lot to consider with this one, a lot of dungeon choices, and we will see some different dungeon choices on the stream today. And then the only other thing I want to mention is that if you are interested in learning more about OMS, you can go to the website, which is right at the bottom of the screen right now, ootmasterseries.com. At any point in chat, you can do !OMS, and it'll give you a link to that, and also a YouTube playlist of everything that has been done so far. And then the last thing is that there is a GoFundMe for a prize pool for the top 5 players overall at the end of the season. And if you are interested in donating to that, it'll be open until the end of the whole thing in late May. So that's it. We're going to get into it. Let me just go ahead and get the timer ready. And then when I switch over, we will introduce who is on the call with me. And let's go. Okay, the top 4. We have Count, RTA, Tob, and ZFG. And everybody but Tob is here in the call with me. Hello, guys.
Hey.
So we have a question in chat. Naturally means no RBA dungeon keys. So you could totally RBA dungeon keys if you wanted to, but you also have to open all the chests and unlock all the doors. So, you know, if going out of your way to RBA those keys allows you to unlock the doors faster, totally fine, but you still have to go get all the real keys. So it may or may not help, and that's, you know, that's a routing challenge. Cool. So, guys, what do you think of this task?
This one was cool. I think it was really difficult and also really unique because of like everything you had to do in the dungeons and just like how that is pretty different from what you're normally used to seeing in speedruns. So I thought it was cool.
Yeah, for me, this was my favorite task so far because I just love dungeon stuff in general. For my route, I was able to do something that I really like also. And yeah, I always have thought like 100% dungeon stuff, like the 100% ILs are really cool. So getting to do something similar to that in this was really neat.
Yeah, I agree with
So-
both CFG and Count here that this stack was really good. Easy to route, like just pick 2 dungeons and try to just figure out which ones are the best and easiest to do, or somewhat easiest.
Yeah, actually, in terms of like theory crafting for this actually is probably one of the most interesting tests to like think about what dungeons are actually the fastest. Because like I was actually even thinking about potential dungeon routes even after the task ended. So I just got curious about other dungeon possibilities.
Yeah. I think the cool part about this one is that, you know, the content of the dungeon in this task mirrors very closely 100% ILs, you know, which are things that are pretty tightly routed already, and the world records for them are pretty good. But, you know, with ILs, you have as much time as you like to spend setting up the IL to make sure that the dungeon is as fast as possible, right? Whereas with this, that setup time is included. And then also, not only that, but you have to find 2 dungeons that pair well so that their setup time can nicely overlap. So I think, yeah, there was a lot to consider here for sure. And the routes are going to be very different. So RTA and I are off to a very similar start. Count and ZFG are off to a very similar start, as is Tub. But Tub seems like he's a little bit behind because he had to spend a little more time in Kokiri Forest getting Deku Nuts, or the money rather for Deku Nuts at least. And that is probably because we'll see him playing on 64, going to Bottom of the Well and doing Blank A.
I'm wondering, like, is Blank A even still faster on N64, or is Corpse Push the faster method?
I think the Skull to Push trick is the faster one, but not by a whole lot. So you have to be really good at it and confident in it to make it faster. So I think a lot of N64 players still go for Blank A just because it's so easy comparatively.
Yeah, that
Right.
makes sense.
I guess it also depends on like if you need nuts for other things.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, I think I read someone say that in a vacuum it ends up being like 10 seconds faster if you get like the perfect 2 or 3 pause or whatever it is on Corpse Push, which is, you know, not a whole lot because you're probably not getting that perfect pause anyway. Oh, yeah, the prediction. Thank you. I literally always forget. Here we go. The prediction is now live. I didn't do a game in this. I did not. Because of reasons, which you'll learn. I didn't do the all-child route in my low tech. And we don't know yet who else did all-child or who did adult, but there's at least a showing of both strats here. I was curious to know how good an adult route could be for this, so I decided to do that. And then for, you know, the people who are confident enough and cool enough to go for the all-child route, you know, they're likely going to beat me if they do it well, so props to them, they'll get the bonus points.
So did you kind of expect a lot of people to go for the child route even before the task was revealed?
I expected that the top few would go for it, and a lot more people went for it than I expected. I think the frustration on this task was pretty high. A lot of people were like getting pretty stressed out about it because they were like they felt compelled to do the all-child route, and I think
that makes sense.
I think that there's quite a few people who, you know, they did it, and props to them, but 100% they would have been faster if they just went for the adult route. Because when it came right down to it, I think it wasn't a whole lot slower to go adult, but it was a whole lot easier.
Right.
Yeah, that's what my timing came down to. Like, it's the difference between child and adult, like, was maybe a minute in the route that I did. So that's not very much if you mess up once or twice.
Yeah, it's definitely really hard to play within a minute on the child route, just because it's so much harder. And even within, you know, child or adult, there were still some options for which dungeons to do that were not super different from each other time-wise. Worth mentioning for those of you who are new to OMS, the small one on the bottom is my time, my benchmark time, and what that means is that, you know, I made these tasks a long time ago, so I'm not competing with the rest of them. But I created runs that I thought were decent benchmarks for them to shoot to beat, and anybody who beats the benchmark time gets a share, along with everyone else who beats it, of 50 extra bonus points on the leaderboard, where points are otherwise assigned by just their rank compared to everybody else within that task. And then at the end of the season, the person with the most overall points will be the OoT master. What's that bomb shoot count just dropped? Oh, what?
That is a ZFG
Yeah.
strat, and it's super cool.
Yeah, I love that strat.
It just came right back around.
Yeah, it's because if you blow up a rock on, or if you blow up a chew on the rock, the bugs don't spawn.
Yeah.
So you have to pick up the rock, and then there's no like actor to just use a chew on to do the easy RBA. So then I came up with, there's this house here. This is like just the right size for a chew. You just run around it and RBA off that.
It's funny. I like it.
When I was trying the child route, what I did to get the bottle on B there was just use the rock to get ISG and then just on the wall drop the chew. It explodes immediately.
Oh, from the ISG? Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what Top is doing here. He's in the graveyard already. And he's got ISG doing some stuff. So what's all the rupees for in counter CFG and the route that you guys are doing?
Poe and Fairy. Poe is obviously RBA. Fairy is, I don't know, is it spoilers to talk about? I mean, it's pretty obvious, Fire Temple.
Okay, cool. And what do you mean obvious RBA? Come on, what are you, a nerd? Not everybody
What?
knows.
How are we not gonna RBA choose?
Looks like Top went for the graveyard for choose.
Yeah, I actually did time going for graveyard or market for choose and Fairy, or Poe and Fairy. It turned out to be just barely faster for market, just by a few seconds. But I think Tob didn't get a Fairy, right? So I think without Fairy, graveyard might be faster.
And if Top didn't get a fairy, then what are we thinking? Because fairies are pretty integral to Fire Temple.
There's a possibility that he could be doing 1/16th heart, or he could just be doing a different dungeon.
Yeah, we got Toxic Oxygen in chat pointing out that he also did not get the Hylian Shield.
Yeah.
If you're doing Fire Temple and you die, even if you have a fairy, if you die in a hot room, your Deku Shield gets incinerated. So anytime that you die in Fire Temple as child, you're going to want to switch to Hylian Shield briefly just for the death to preserve the Deku Shield. So the fact that he didn't get a Hylian Shield indicates probably going to be something else going on. But we got 3 people in Deku Tree right now, so this should be interesting to watch. how long is this run expected to take? I will tell you that it'll all be done in less than an hour. Total, not from now. So just as a reminder here, since we're in a dungeon, players will have to open every treasure chest, unlock every key-locked door, which is not relevant for the child dungeon because there's no small keys, visit every room, collect all the gold skulltulas, collect the heart container, and the spiritual stone or medallion. So it's a lot of stuff that they have to do. Visiting every room is definitely one of the most interesting parts, I think, because there are a lot of rooms that you pretty much never go to in dungeons, Decatry included, right? Like, when was the last time you saw anybody not do B1 skip in a speedrun, right? So there's a lot to do.
So yeah, I guess for the child dungeons, Deku was kind of the obvious child dungeon option. It's just really easy and fast. I know some people were looking at DC, but I think DC is just, well, I guess RTA could still be doing it, but DC is just a little bit too long.
It's a much bigger dungeon.
Yeah.
But it does have bombs in it, which could be useful, so there's a big plus there.
Yeah, I was initially, for my route, I was initially thinking maybe DC instead of Deku.
Mm-hmm.
But for Fire Temple, Slingshot, strangely enough, ended up being more beneficial for Fire Temple than bombs.
Right. Let's see. What do we got on this prediction?
Oh no, count.
We got 29% count, 9% RTA, 7% top, and 55% ZFG. See how that one goes. So, it's clear by now that RTA and I both went for the adult route, and all three of the others are doing the child route. RTA is stuck on that bush.
Yeah, I don't
The
know why.
worst.
I think I did that like in every attempt here. I should probably just walk past the bushes before trying to hold shield and target there. Yeah, this was probably the worst part of the route that I did, is Poe RNG.
You doing big post up?
No, I actually need to get the small Poe,
Oh, gotcha.
which
Nice.
is more likely to get.
Yeah,
But-
what is it, like 2/3 small Poe or something? I always forget.
I want to. It's. I always forget if it's 30% or 40% for Big Poe. I know it's one of them.
40%. Okay. Tio says
Okay.
in the chat.
So it's 60%.
Yeah, it's hovering to some skulltulas. Pretty cool. That one skulltula in the back room of Decatry is so interesting because it's like, it's so different from the rest of the dungeon that it requires like explosives to get to it. It requires explosives to even like to collect the thing. If you don't have a boomerang, like you have to come back so much later in a casual playthrough to get that skulltula.
Yeah.
Like you have to have finished DC and Jabu, I guess, right? Because you need boomerang and bombs.
Yeah,
Also,
that
I
was-
actually noticed something interesting about that room, specifically from this task, is that it actually doesn't have a black outline around the room. I guess
Yeah.
because they didn't want to spoil it.
It's the only room in the game that's like that, I think. It just does not appear on the map until you fill it in, and then it's just the blue, but not the outline. Pretty weird.
Pretty strange.
So you'll notice that I'm going to Shadow Temple right now, and RTA is going to Deku. Just did a hover to get to the unloaded Deku tree. So we got some deviation right off the bat. The RTA is doing a cool trick called Quick Put Away, where you just burn that web with a Deku Stick without any fire. And you should check out RTA's entire Deku tree because he's going to keep that glitch. Right now, he did a glitch called Quick Put Away, which allows him to have a glitched power crouch stab, and therefore a glitched ISG that includes fire as one of the things that it can do, among many other things. And so by keeping that on his crouch stab the whole time, and ISG the whole time, he's going to be able to burn lots of stuff, light torches. It's going to be really useful.
And here I just drop down to load the last room before the boss.
Nice, yeah, that's cool. We got some Goma clippers. Tob doing it with inverse camera angle like a boss for no reason at all. I mean, maybe it's lag. Playing on N64 has just like this whole extra metagame to it with lag reduction, and it's really cool, but I don't know anything about it. $2016, what, for Goma Clip? 2015, I think.
Goma Clip is, I want to say, like 2013.
Oh no, I mean like last time it was used in the
Oh.
route.
Yeah.
That's when the game was discovered, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, before this, I hadn't done Goma Clip in years, since like it was still used in Hundo until like I want to say 2016 or so, but since then, this is probably my first time doing it since then. Although one thing cool about this is I also got to use this super old boomer Ganondorf setup. That it's only useful in this specific scenario where I actually have to get the heart container.
So we've got people doing Ganondorf, and then the problem is now they need to get back to Deku Tree to pause and show their menu. And the cool thing is, after you do a wrong warp, you're only sort of in the new location, according to, different parts of the game that track where you are. Some of them say you're here, and some of them say you're still in Deku Tree. And actually, for the purposes of Void respawning, your last entrance is still Deku Tree, and so if you void out, you come back to Deku Tree. So that's what ZFG and Top just did. That's what Count's about to do. So it's a clever way to wrong warp away, and then get back right away. Hey, Runner Guy, thanks for the raid. Welcome, friends. So, I had made a pit stop in Shadow Temple for the hover boots, which were definitely not necessary for this challenge, but it let me do some cool things, and I wanted to include them. I timed them to be, like, almost even with getting them, or not getting them, because, like, it allowed me to save about as much time as it took me to get them. So I wanted to include them, because it was pretty cool.
Okay, so it looks like Tob is definitely not doing Fire Temple at this point.
Nope. Tob's gonna be doing Child Forest, which is pretty interesting.
I wanna see those Skulltula hovers.
So Forest Temple as Child has this, like, extremely difficult, or I guess not difficult, but, like, important roadblock of not being able to kill the pose in the paintings, right? Because you need arrows to do that. For a lot of things, including like Phantom Ganon or whatever, the slingshot is good enough, or like eyeball switches, right? The slingshot can do that, where the bow also could. But the one thing the slingshot can't do in Forest Temple is get the pose out of those paintings. So there's gonna be some pretty cool stuff, and you'll see it in child bingos sometimes. But my guess is that most of you have not seen what Top is about to do in order to get around that problem. And of course, the reason why he needs to fight the pose at all is because they spawn treasure chests. And treasure chests are required. Alright, so we got some people in Fire Temple right now. I'm doing Adult Forest.
So someone in chat's asking, why is Fire Temple fast? So at least from my reasoning for Fire Temple requires the least number of extra items, at least for child. Because like Fire Temple, if you want to do like say Forest Temple quickly, you probably want hookshot, you probably want bombs. Hover boots save a lot of time, even though it's not necessary. For Water Temple, you obviously need like Iron Boots, Lullaby, Shadow. You probably want Lullaby. For Fire, you can pretty much just do it with Choose alone and Slingshot. I mean, if you really had to, you could skip Slingshot too. But so Fire Temple has the least setup time. It is a bit longer than, I want to say, like Forest. Like in a vacuum, it's probably longer than Forest, but the setup time is lower.
So check out what Tub's doing right now. He's doing this crazy trick where he did the bugs thing to keep the elevator up so he can get on the elevator, but then he rode the elevator back up and he's doing the bugs thing again. And this is super important for this trick for the pose later. He's going to stay in this text box for a while. And then make sure that every time now that he enters this room, he leaves the room before the pose get a chance to steal the colored flames off the torches. So just keep that in mind. Right now, it's like that cutscene never played in Forest Temple. So for those of you doing fire, how many fairies are necessary? How many times do you like just have to die?
Technically, you could get away with 0, but I use just 1. But the thing is, if you want to do 0, you have to do 1/16 heart. And while that's fine for adult, for child, for the room after the fire elevator room, you pretty much need to take damage. And your only option for health would be drinking bugs. But if you want to drink bugs, you need an empty bottle and a bug bottle. And if you need an extra bottle for that, then you might as well just use the bottle for a fairy. So that was my reasoning for not bothering with 1/16 heart.
Alright.
Which also is why I got magic beans. That it might have seemed really weird at the beginning to just buy beans for something that, for a task that seems like beans would have no purpose, but it was actually just to dupe over it for an extra bottle. Because beans are actually very quick. It's only like a very small detour.
Yeah. So it looks like RTA, you also chose Fire Temple as your second dungeon?
Yeah, I chose Fire Temple. I think it's a little bit faster than Forest Temple as adult. And it's pretty easy. there's nothing huge. Only one large hover, and that's it.
Right. This recoil jump trick that Count is doing right now is super cool.
Yeah, the glitchless ground jump style strat.
Yeah, so we got 2 people doing Deku and Fire as child, 1 person doing Deku and Fire as adult, 1 person doing Forest and Deku as adult, and 1 person doing Forest and Deku as child. We got a lot going on. So one of the first big things that hover boots helped with and saved time with was skipping strength on these blocks. Because... oh, this is super cool, actually. More glitchless ground jumps coming up. Since I don't have bombs, and that's usually what you do, I found some nice setups for using choose here. It's like going over and over around, and you put it in a good spot.
Oh yeah, that's super cool.
Works in both the same way. So if I didn't have hover boots here, I would be climbing the red block and then doing side flip hovers from there, but it's like super sketchy, I think, because you also need to get like bomb shoe ISG on the red block, and you have the wall that like pushes you mid hover, so it like changes one of the hovers a lot. So hover boots made this much faster and much easier. And then hover boots will also come into play quite a bit later. So you guys will notice that RTA is in a hot room right now, but he didn't have a timer because he has 1/16 of a heart. And when you... so normally, like, the timer determines how much... or sorry, your health determines how much time you get on the heat timer. It's like 1 second per 1/8 of a heart. But it rounds down, right? So, like, if you have 1/16, it kind of treats it as if you have 0 health, because it's less than an 1/8. And so the timer just never shows up at all. So you get to play all of Fire Temple as a one-hit kill to literally any damage source, but the trade-off is you have no timer in the hot rooms.
So that hover I did just now out of the elevator is a big reason why Deku was synergizes surprisingly well with fire, because the slingshot lets you do the super easy hovers where you don't have to like buffer a side flip or an ESS twist backflips thing for hovering. So that hover becomes really trivial if you have slingshot.
That makes sense. So it's cool. Tub has the slingshot for this gold eye switch for this chest on the way up here. Whereas if you're doing Adult Forest like me, one of the challenges is that you don't have bow by the time you come up here, so you gotta come back down after you get the bow and get this chest later, which kind of stinks, because climbing that room in the first place is kind of annoying. So I'm gonna do that here real quick. Gotta backtrack for 2 things. 1, that gold eye chest, and then 2 is the boss key. But the cool thing is that even though I have to go back down to get this chest, you can just void in this room with a ledge clip and respawn up by the door. I tried really hard to figure out a way so that the chest crushes you and you open it at the same time, like that famous juke clip in Light Trial, where he opened the chest but didn't get the contents, didn't get the key in Light Trial as it landed on him. But I don't think you can do it with that chest. I don't know what's special about the Light Trial one, but it seems like this one doesn't do it. Ooh, sorry, FaZe. Yeah, daylight savings time. Annoying. I heard that it's the last time that we're doing it here in the US. I don't know, though. I hope so.
I hope so. Just want to pick one time and stick with it.
Alright, so here I'm at Fire Temple at the hardest part of the run, but so here I decided to find the highest platform and start doing these super duper easy hovers.
Damn,
So I
you're
just
so
do
full on buffered.
Yeah, I decided to maybe around 10 side flip hovers, then start doing the ESS shuffle hovers to get a little bit more height on these last few.
Super cool.
Oh, check out Top right now. So he just voided out in the Poe room, and by respawning in the room from like a reload with the flame there, it signals the chest to spawn. And that's why he left the elevator up before with it as if the Poes never stole the flame. Because when the Poes steal the flame, it actually, like before they steal it, the whole dungeon is actually in the completed state as if you've defeated them, sort of. And so if you can make it to these rooms with the chests, and then reload the room so that the room loads for the first time with the flame in place, then the chest spawns as if you've just defeated the Poe. And that's like the main secret to doing Forest Temple as Child, even though you can't shoot the paintings. And if you missed it, he's going to do it again with the blue Poe coming up.
Do a little circle around the chest.
Alright, so check this out with the blue Poe on top screen. Can't shoot the paintings. We're gonna do a ground flip. And the elevator is still up. The Poes never stole the flames, so reloading the room from a scene load with the flame in place spawns the chest. So cool. It's like one of my favorite tricks. I don't know how that was discovered, because it's like so... It's like
Yeah, it's
so
such a weird one.
situational.
I think when people start using the practice ROM, they would teleport to these rooms in dungeons. I think that might have
Ooh.
helped a little bit to discover it, because you won't ever go to the lobby if you're using practice ROM. So you kind of
Yeah.
skip to
I
this room.
think it was actually found a bit before the practice ROM was a thing, but I don't remember exactly.
Ooh, check out my screen here. So I got hover boots, and I'm up near the entrance to the green Poe, and I found a setup where the bomb chew explodes right on the edge of the void to be able to barely make it into the elevator shaft and load the basement from there. And that's possible with a bomb. There was already a setup for it, but I found a cool setup with a chew. And that's one of the big reasons why I got hover boots, so I didn't have to fight the green Poe or the purple Poe.
Nice. So Tob having to do the elevator skip for I think the 4th time.
Yeah. You really have to go out of your way to do these Poe
Yeah.
things.
Child Forest is super interesting, but having to do this over and over is really weird.
Literally every time you enter this room, you have to make sure that you keep the elevator up. This is a really scary mega flip over to this Song of Time block, because like if you fail it, what do you do?
Yeah,
You
so
hover back
actually,
up?
my original strat here was a double chew mega flip off the wall, and I thought it was safe at first, and then I failed it in a run, and then I'm like, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna take the super safe mega flip and just do like a hold down all the way mega flip at the edge.
Yeah. Did I get hookshot and hover boots naturally? Yes. Or isn't really a way to do that otherwise without SRM, which would definitely be banned. SRM is banned in all of these tasks. Yeah, the natural word in the task probably wasn't necessary for this, because most of these things can't be done unnaturally without SRM. For example, like, you can use SRM to set dungeon flags, so it's like you've visited rooms when you haven't, right? And it'll appear blue on the dungeon map. But, like, I don't know if it's possible to do any of that without SRM, but I just decided to include it because, you know, clarity.
In case
safety.
someone's gonna, in case someone finds something dumb.
In case someone finds the first, like, new RBA-able thing in, like, 15 years. So it's pretty lucky that you can knock down Flare Dancer with bomb shoes at her feet. Like, there's not really any reason for that to be a thing, but for some reason it is. Flare Dancer is just like a very weird enemy overall. Doesn't
Yeah.
share the same damage table as Ganon.
I think that was a mistake, but I know that was a theory for a while, but I think that was a mistake. It's actually like Flarence's damage table has a bug where it reads Master Sword as Big Orange Sword damage and Big Orange Sword as Master Sword damage.
Oh, okay. That's so weird.
Yeah, and so that's the reason why Master Sword does more damage.
Interesting.
And apparently, there are other enemies that also share that same damage table, but they all die in one hit anyway. Like, I think green bubbles have the same damage table, but
Oh,
you
wow.
always kill them in one hit no matter what anyway.
You know, this room that Count is in, probably the least viewed room in the entire game.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's any reason anyone would ever come here. I saw RTA do something really cool in this room, actually. He's about to go in there too, so check it out. Also, I finally finished my first dungeon. RTA, did you come up with this little trick? Or did you find it somewhere?
I thought this was. I think this was already known because, like, using a cutscene item stops this time. And the
Actually, yeah, I think I actually have a video of that from like 10 years ago.
Yeah, so I just use it there.
You know, when I saw that, I was thinking how clever that is, that, you know, using the cutscene item to stop the blue switch timer so you can just get to the door without the box. And I was like, wait, Brain Blast, why didn't we ever do that in Glitchless in Jabu, like when you're rolling from the blue switch? But the Jabu blue switches are different for some reason. They don't work. Jabu is just the strongest dungeon, always.
Huh.
God Dev again.
Rubber Boots helping out, entering Decatry again. So we're coming up on the end here. ZFG appears to be defeating the second and final boss. All that remains is hopefully a cutscene skip, and then getting back to Fire Temple afterwards. And Tom's also fighting the boss. Gonna be a pretty close one. It's so nice that you can get that heart container from the same position as you spawn at. Also, bugs here are super scary. Is there?
Yeah, I did not want to do this with bugs, but fish was just too far out. It ended up being not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I never ended up like having a run lose. I never lost a run to bugs or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, Count and RTA are extremely close. Seconds apart.
We're actually 7 years apart.
True. Damn. Got him. Look at that hover. Nice hover to the bomb chest. And that's it. ZFG is the winner of Task 5 with a time of, what was it? 43:01. Extremely well done, ZFG.
Nice.
GG.
Thanks.
GG.
Let's see if Tob does a successful Forest Temple cutscene skip here. Child Forest was really cool to see. I'm glad that we got such a different route from Tob.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know TKC was also posting clips on Twitter about Child Forest, and so I wasn't sure if anyone else was going to do Child Forest, so I was really interested to see it. So I'm glad someone else also did it.
Dude, look at Count and RTA. They're like literally 3 seconds apart right now. Maybe less. And Tob, with a successful cutscene skip, coming in second place with a 44:26. GG Tob.
GG.
And now it comes down to the wire.
It looks like Count might be ahead. Looking at the heat timer, but we'll see here.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, RTA is visually ahead, but the heat timer is a really interesting idea. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I was actually thinking RTA having the fish might be a small advantage, but yeah, I forgot about the heat timer too.
Here we go.
I guess that equipped helped a little bit.
And nice Deku Nut right before the death.
Alright. Now we just just gonna get back. Oh, worth noting that you can just roll right through the loading zone here because the loading zone like isn't ready yet when you first zone in after the wrong warp to Forest Temple. So it's a really easy way to just void out and get back to Fire Temple. RTA in third place with an extremely narrow margin. Time of 46:28. Count coming in a very respectable fourth place with a 46:34. Well done, everybody. You guys killed it.
Nice.
I'm going to switch back real quick to the view that has my BB as big as it can, because I just want to show off the ending, because it's pretty cool. It's a big reason why I got hover boots. So, you notice I did not do Goma Clip. And also, wrong warping to Ganon's castle here would be terrible without hover boots. I could wrong warp to DC, but the DC wrong warp with bomb shoes and bugs is very annoying, and it would have been faster for sure, but I just wanted to show off this strat because I think it's super cool. This setup is something that I found, where if you do a triple slash clip with hover boots to get a tiny bit of extra speed, at just the right moment, you can do Goma Crush with hover boots. And then that despawns the stone slab, so that you can do wrong warp nice and easy. So it's obvious that all 4 of these players beat my benchmark. And turns out that, you know, Count came in 4th place with 46:34. 5th place is 10 minutes behind that with 56:43. This task was a real killer. So the top 4 are the only people to have beat my benchmark, which means that it's worth, what, 12 points? The most it's ever been? And here's the second reason at the end here why I got hover boots, because another triple slash clip. Triple slash clip plus hover boots is just a very powerful combination as adult. It's pretty cool. That is not possible without hover boots, as far as we know.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I was looking into something like this for the route that I did. But I knew it was not going to happen, so I did the DC wrong word instead.
Yeah. Sick. This was a super exciting one. Thank you guys for joining. So I'm going to switch over to the leaderboard page. On the leaderboard page, nobody else will be able to hear you guys talk. So if you guys have anything else that you want to say before we switch over, now is the time.
Good task. Fun task.
Thank you. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks very much, friends, for joining. Task 6 is halfway through. For those of you who are interested in these results, stop by in 2 weeks for the results of Task 6. And now let's look at the leaderboard view for Task 5. Let me go ahead and make it visible. Let's see. Quick. Oh. Here's the leaderboard view. You can find this at otmasterseries.com/. Okay. There we go. That was the problem. Look at that. Coding live on stream. No, I wasn't coding. I was just adding my time to the database. Cool. So, Count LG still in a very, very strong first place with 976 points. Top and ZFG didn't move at all, but they are only 13 points apart in second and third place. So that's going to be a super exciting race to see unfold. And, you know, you never know. If either of these players keep performing well, then they could catch up to Count, is what I was trying to say. And RTA, with a super strong performance this week, moving up 2 places to enter the top 5 for the first time with 641 points, and Fanta holding the line at 5th place. Fanta, if it continues this way, will be the 5th and final person to receive one of the cash prizes at the end. So here was the full completionist task results. You can see ZFG, Tub, RTA, and Count are the only 4 people to have beaten my benchmark, so they got those gold plus 12 points next to their names. That is the most beating a benchmark has ever been worth. Tub up 7 places from task 4. Super cool. ZFG up 1 place. RTA up 2 places. A lot of movement up here. Big shout outs to Czar, who reached the top 10 this task, up 10 places from the previous task. Super well done. Also, big shout outs to a few players who competed for the very first time this week. In particular, who was it? I think someone by the name of Magic Shawnson and Captain Paul both competed for the very first time. Captain Paul even put in his video description that this was the first OOT speedrunning thing that he's ever done, and he still did this in under 2 hours, so super well done to Captain Paul. This was a really cool task, and I loved seeing everybody compete in it. So, have people beat the benchmark every time? Yes. The first benchmark was 7 people. 7 people on the second one as well. Third one was 5 people. Fourth one was 9 people. Because during the 4th task, a really cool new thing was discovered for the first time. The thing with the Gossip Stone and Action Swap. And that allowed for skipping magic. And then task 5, 4 people beat it. So this was definitely the most spread out leaderboard that we've had so far. Top 4 were all relatively close to each other and close to the benchmark, but then a 10-minute gap between 4th and 5th place really drew the line in the sand on this one. So we will see how the rest of these go. Task 6 is also a very hard one. This is what players are working on right now. Task 6 is called Interior Recordator. And in Link's house, there's this board on the wall that shows records in some of the mini games that Link can participate in over the course of his adventure. And the goal of Task 6 is to set the following skill for records on all of the things on that board. 40 gold Skulltulas, a fish of at least size 60, which is enough to get the golden scale, a marathon time, it's a race against of the running man, of 110 or better, a horse race time, it's the obstacle course with Epona, of 48 or better, and a perfect 2000 in Gerudo Archery. So that's what players have been working on for the last week, and they will work on it for 1 more week until it closes. And then Task 7, which is going to be revealed live on stream in 1 week from now, next Saturday night at midnight, is my favorite task of the whole event. So I'm really psyched to show that off in a week, and we'll see what that one turns out to be. But yeah, OOTmasterseries.com if you want to keep up with this. You can join my Discord if Twitch chat would let me type. You can join my Discord, which has a whole OMS section if you want to watch players discuss the task in the spoiler channel, or if you just want to join the OMS or join to get the OMS role. There's a OMS role request channel where you can ask for the OMS role and get tagged anytime one of these streams or anything interesting with OMS is happening. Yeah. What determines the bonus points? So it's 50 points total, split among everybody who beats it, and then rounded down. So 4 people beat it, it's 50 divided by 4, 12 and a half, and so round down is 12 points. So the fewer people beat the benchmark, the more it's worth. Which I think is a cool built-in balancing thing. And this was the one that the fewest number of people beat, so it was worth the most. The points are explained in this little pop-up here. Points are awarded to a player based on their rank in the task. It decreases from 200 points for first place until 40th place, where every participant gets 10 points. The overall leaderboard shows the sum of all players' points across all tasks in which they participated. And then 50 points split among everybody who beats a benchmark. So this overall tab here, this is the cumulative number of points that every participant has acquired over the course of the season. And I think right now, anybody in the top 5 still has a shot if they play well. at the top prize. We've had 53 participants in total. And if you think this is cool and you want to try to participate, I wholly welcome you to try. You've missed the first 5 tasks. That's fine. These tasks you don't have to participate in the whole thing to participate in any of them. If you think any of these tasks looks cool to you, by all means, try it out. Submit to the website. Doesn't matter if it's amazing. If it's your very first speedrun ever, like Mr. Paul, Captain Paul at the bottom here, all more power to you. So if you think these look cool, definitely check them out. Try it. Submit to the website. Anyone can submit on the submit page right here. Task 6 is the active one right now. Cool. I think that's it.